Hello, my name is John Wenzel. I'm the Extension Veterinarian with New Mexico State University's Department of Extension Animal Science and Natural Resources. And our purpose here today is just to talk about some of the stuff in the event of an emergency vaccination situation, the equipment, the tools, some of the things to make sure that you're safe and doing things correctly. And so the idea is to just introduce you to what we do when we get ready to vaccinate cattle. There's lots of equipment that I have here on the table that I'm going to discuss, and some of the things I'm going to start with are the needle sizes and how we choose needles and when we get ready to go vaccinate. And I have several of these. The difference between a 16 gauge needle, which is encased in the gray cap, is that a 16 gauge needle is twice the diameter of an 18, which means that the injection puncture is much larger using a 16 gauge needle. And so that is a consideration. We always want to use the smallest needle possible that our medication will go through. And so the idea is that by decreasing the size of the puncture wound, the inflammation around where the injection site is going to be decreased. We cause less tissue damage if the needle is smaller. So we always want to choose the smallest needle size that we can get our product to go through. It's very important to do that because inflammation can be an enemy to us, especially when we're talking about vaccinations. And in that vein, we got to always stop and think that when we vaccinate, we put something into an animal's body. If that body responds to that, that's immunization. And that's really what our objective is. Our objective is not to vaccinate as many animals as we can. Our objective is to immunize as many animals as we can. So things that we can do, like being clean and careful with how with our techniques, can decrease the inflammation that is caused by those injections and increase the number of animals that we immunize. So it's really important to understand why we do what we do. So for the most part, almost all vaccines will go through an 18 gauge needle. Like I said, that's half the diameter of a 16. And so depending on whether we're going into the muscle or whether we're going to be going under the skin or sub-Q, that will affect what needle size we choose. We may need, in certain situations, to go into the muscle, we may need a longer, 1.5 inch needle to go into the muscle in cattle that may have a little more condition than others. And so we need to make sure that we deposit it in the muscle. That's really important because the difference between a sub-Q administration or under the skin and an intermuscular injection, it can change the absorption rate, which can change the pharmacokinetics of the product that we're using. So it's really important when it says IM that we give it in the muscle. If it says IM or sub-Q, we always want to choose sub-Q. We always want to put it under the skin if we can, just simply because that can decrease the damage to the product if it ever ends up in the food chain. So we want to be careful with that. So for the most part, I have here an 18 gauge 3/4 inch needle, which is really adequate for almost all vaccines. And the nice thing about that shorter needle is that you can use it to give sub-Q vaccination in calves. You can use it to give a sub-Q vaccination in a cow or a bull. And the likelihood of picking up muscle tissue with that shorter needle is decreased. We may give a more correct injection by using a shorter needle and doing it under the skin that way. So how we choose the needles that we use is an important part of the decision, and it's based upon the viscosity of the product that we're using. So when we get ready to go, we need to figure out which needle are we going to do, and then we start into the rest of the equipment that we're going to use. This is a transfer needle. It's used to mix products, and the likelihood is, especially when we talk about vaccine, many of our products are made in such a way that we have to mix them with a diluent. And so this transfer needle will accomplish that. It's really important to know how to use it. You've got to make sure that it's always clean. And you always puncture the diluent first, and then you invert it and insert it into the bottle that has the freeze-dried cake of the vaccine product in it. I have a wire here because when you puncture that rubber stopper, when you're transferring, a lot of times it will cut a core of that rubber. So I have this wire that goes through to make sure you knock out any rubber pieces that are left behind in the transfer needle, because if it does go into the system that we have here, showing these other syringes out here, it can cause a plug into, say for instance with this one, that rubber plug can go through the line and it will ruin the syringe. It will plug it up to where you cannot, it won't function anymore. So it's really important to make sure that you always knock the rubber plugs out of those transfer needles. I have also some different examples of pistol grip syringes and other types. I use this method. I always put a piece of electrical tape on a syringe that is used with a modified live product or most of the products that we mix, because the preservatives in other Bactrians or killed products can leave a residue that inactivates modified live vaccines. So we want to make sure that that does not occur, because our objective is to immunize, just not vaccinate. So make sure that you label your syringes in such a way that this is only used for a modified live product, and we never put a Bactrian or a killed product into this syringe. And so these types of syringes are designed to where you can use them for multiple doses. You have to refill them each time, and it's very important that you, when you get ready to fill this syringe, that you put a clean needle on each time. You never puncture a bottle of vaccine or product with a needle that's bitten an animal. So you always change and put a clean needle on before you ever puncture the bottle to fill your syringe. So that way the system remains clean. And so these are a couple of different types. They're both designed the same way. They're for giving different, they're adjustable. You can use them for giving smaller dosages. You know, in especially when we're talking about certain products that the dosages might be small, like a 2 cc, I would prefer to use a smaller type barreled syringe so that you're more accurate in the dosing, because sometimes with these 50 ml barreled pistol grip syringes, they may not be as accurate when you're only delivering 2 cc products. This is an electronic syringe. This is made by the Tape-RE company. It's a multi-doser, and what this does is it has an automatic fill where you invert the bottle and hang it, and you prime this thing and it fills it up, and all you do to activate it is you push the button and it activates the plunger. These are extremely accurate. And the nice thing about these syringes is every dose is the same. And also it relieves fatigue in administrators. You know, when you vaccinate hundreds of cattle a day, that fatigue in your hand can be pretty dramatic. And so this eliminates that, because it works by just pressing the button and releasing, and it delivers the pre-measured dose. And the nice thing about these is they're extremely accurate, and you can set the dosages by 1/10 of a cc, which is important. These are some other systems that are automatic fill syringes that we use. This one is designed for a 2 cc dosage, and what you do is after the bottle is mixed, I use it with this container that helps keeps the bottle of my vaccine. This is hanging chute side. This insulates the bottle from the heat and keeps it out of the UV light, which is harmful to modified live products. And so by doing this, that bottle will be hanging inside there. You fill your line, and then each dose you can give just by depressing the handle on it. These particular systems I use a lot in this part of the world, in Western United States, because a lot of times we're vaccinating in pretty dramatic heat. So I use plastic wire loom over the line to shield the vaccine from UV light, and helps protect a little bit with the heat product. This is a larger syringe. This is adjustable. This is a 10 cc. Can be adjusted down to it. Like I said, they're not quite as accurate as some of these smaller ones, but if the dosage is larger, this is likely something that will be used. And it's the same design. Once you fill the line and work the air out of it, then it will stay, and you can just vaccinate as you go along the line. It's important to understand that it's really important to keep care of the vaccine. The vaccine should always be kept cool. We want to do everything we can to keep it as cool as we can until we get it into the animal. It will increase the number that we immunize if the vaccine is delivered in such a way, the way it's designed to be. And so everything that we can do by keeping it clean, keeping it out of UV light, all of that will help protect our products, and we get more efficacy out of the products that we're using. Remember, if we do have an event like this, that people's safety is of the utmost importance. And so we need to stop and think about what we're doing and how we're going to accomplish the task that's going to be before us. If we're going to be administering a product to, say, cattle in the event of an event, then what we need to do is stop and read the labels to make sure that we understand the products that we're using and what their purpose is and what the danger is to people. There are products that we use routinely in the animal health industry that can constitute a human health hazard. And so you need to be aware of those situations, aware of those products that human safety is a concern, and take necessary precautions. So it's really important to understand what you're doing and what you're using. And so especially when we're talking about vaccinating cattle with this type of equipment, there always is a danger of an accidental injection or puncture from some of these things. What happens and what do you need to be concerned about? All of that information is on a product label or a product insert. So it's really important before you start to read that label to understand what are the precautions that I need to be aware of. It's really important to understand that when you get ready to move vaccine around, it should always be kept correctly cold and with ice packs. And so it's from the time you pick it up till the time you administer it, it needs to remain cold at all times, out of UV light and protected. And so taking a cooler with you to get vaccine is an important part of it, so that you always have ice packs with it, and so that the vaccine remains cold in transport. When we do get ready to vaccinate, like I said, we want to make sure that everybody understands what we're using it for. So this is a particular vaccine product that we're going to use as an example. Inside there is a product label, and it's really important that this package insert be read. This gives you all the indications, safety factors, all that stuff that go along with this particular product. It's important that you read this before you get ready to do it. So when you get ready to, in a lot of vaccines, there's different types of vaccines. There are killed products that are already mixed. There are live products that you have to mix. Generally speaking, these products that have a diluent and a freeze-dried cake are products that have to be used in a timely manner, meaning you never mix more than what you can use in less than an hour. Because as the time goes on after being mixed, the diluent begins to lose its efficacy. And so because they are live products, we have to be very cautious with that. So it's very important to understand that you only mix what you're going to be using. And so that means during the day, you have to have storage capabilities chute side so that you can keep a fresh supply of vaccine readily available to be mixed. When you get ready to mix it, you use a transfer needle, and I use a piece of wire to make sure that transfer needle does not have a rubber plug from the last time we transferred product, because it'll cut that core. You run the wire through it. Then you put the transfer needle into the liquid side of the diluent side of the product, and then you turn it over and put it into the freeze-dried portion. There's a vacuum in this bottle that will suck the diluent out. Now, there are times where you can put the diluent in there and turn it upside down, and it doesn't go in very good. It's because sometimes there's vacuums in both sides. And so with that, you can take and place an additional needle into the diluent sides that allows air to enter that, and then it will push the diluent back into the freeze-dried cake part of the vaccine. So once you do that, you swirl vaccine. You never shake vaccine, whether it be killed products or live products or mixed products or whatever. You don't shake them, because you can damage the vaccine, those protein chains that are in there, by breaking them. So you always want to be cautious and swirl. So after you put the diluent in there, you swirl that vaccine to mix it. And then once it's mixed, it can go into a system, for instance, this one, to where the vaccine bottle is placed into the holder, which will keep it cool. You place that in there. I usually put the line in. I'll puncture the bottle, the mixed vaccine with this, and then place this into the holder. And then you hold the vaccine gun higher than the bottle so that as it begins to suck air, moving the air through the line, the air is pushed out by the vaccine as it moves through the line, so that you make sure that there's no air bubbles in the syringe when you get ready to do it. The reason we're concerned about air is because it displaces the volume of the vaccine, and we may not be administering a full dose if there's air inside inside the syringe. So once you do that, then you place your needle on there, you give it a twist, and you're ready to go. Once you do this, even when you mix vaccine or at the shoot site or in the pickup going, it's very important that you always protect the integrity of the vaccine by keeping it cool and out of UV light. So here's an example of one of the things that will help us keep the integrity of our vaccine shoot site. This is a product that's made. It's just one example. There's lots of these types of products out in the marketplace. But what this does do is it protects your syringes and vaccines from heat and UV light by storing your vaccines in a place that's really handy for access. You can label these by dosage, by product, so that somebody that's assisting you, if they have to pick up one of these syringes, they know exactly what product it is and exactly where it needs to go. The nice thing about these products too is that it does provide a place where you can keep cool packs, so your unmixed vaccine can be stored in there. This protects your syringes. The whole idea behind these products is to keep your vaccine cool and out of UV light, which protects the integrity of the product. So when we get ready to move to the chute and start working cattle, one of the main factors we need to think of is personal safety. There's lots of moving parts on a hydraulic chute that we got to be cautious of, and in this particular case, but in all chutes, even manual chutes, they have parts that move that can hurt you. So be aware, don't be distracted. Make sure that if you're the chute operator, that you're conscious of those around you, that you don't open gates when somebody's in front, things like that. And the other thing is depending on what type of a chute setup there is, you need to be aware of the safety of your hands. By putting them inside there with an animal, there is possibility for injury to occur. So it's always really important that you position yourself and be aware of your safety at all times. So as we move in to vaccinate, we want to be conscious of where we give the vaccines at. We never put vaccines or product on the back end of cattle. Everything goes in front of the shoulder in the neck area. And that's a food safety issue as well. So we want to make sure that what we do is our target zone is we avoid the nuchal ligament or the neck strap that's up here at the top of the neck. We have the neck bones that run right about in this area here and the slope of the shoulder. That forms the vaccine triangle that is our target area. And so we need to be aware whether we're giving it sub-Q or IM, that's our target area. If we have to put more than 10 cc's in a side or we're giving two different vaccinations, we always want to separate that by at least a hand's width. So we'll put one injection on one side and one injection on the other so that we separate the product by at least 4 inches. When we get ready to do a sub-Q injection, we can use a little farther up here. And remember, especially irritating products, we want to go a little higher away from the lymph nodes. And so when we get ready to vaccinate this animal, that's our target. So when we give a sub-Q injection, we want to make sure that we change the angle from an intramuscular injection so that we do actually deposit all the product underneath the skin. So generally you want to come at a much steeper angle. You enter the skin so that it is deposited under the skin and not in the muscle. So when we're done, we want to make sure that we dispose of our needles properly. They are considered medical waste and should be disposed of in that manner. So we take the needle off, we place it into a medical disposal device that we keep with us and make sure that we take care of those properly so that nobody gets harmed by the needles that we've already used. So in summary, the points that I want to highlight are be safe. Worker safety is the #1 point that we want to concentrate on. So do everything you can to protect yourself and those that are assisting you, everybody around the cattle, and remain safe. Also, the other objective is to make sure that we do everything possible in our technique to keep our vaccine integrity intact so that we are immunizing cattle, not just vaccinating them. That's the whole reason we're doing this, is to immunize.